Donna Dustalani back in the laboratory. Yes, we are going to try to make some wax. So I'm going to flip this camera around and we're going to do a couple things tonight. We'll see how it goes. Stay tuned. Alright, so the first thing I'm doing is I'm taking a couple old wax tins that I've cleaned out, and I've put a little beeswax in there. So I'm going to go ahead, and I got this, it's actually like a coffee warmer. So I'm going to go ahead and stick that on there. I also have my double boiler going, so I got the hot plate fired up. The water's already starting to boil, and this is sitting in some water, as you can see. So in this one, I'm going to go ahead and fill this tin with some frankincense. There we go. So hang on just a second. Alright, so we got some frankincense in there. Not a lot, in fact that might be too much. I'm going to go ahead and drop it carefully right in there. And we're going to let that go for a while. I think this is going to take a while to boil down, so we'll see how that goes. In the meantime, you can see that the beeswax is starting to melt. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add some, if I can find it here. Yeah, I'm going to add some carnauba wax to that. So hang on. So as I said before, this carnauba wax, it's like flakes, and it's very hard, but also more brittle. So I'm just going to infuse a few flakes in there. There we go. That's probably too much. With the beeswax, and let that all kind of boil down together. And then once the frankincense boils down, we're going to go ahead and somehow pour that into the other wax, because I don't think it's going to completely boil down. We'll have some chunks in there, so I'm going to want to get some of the liquid out of there to pour into here. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this off for now, and we'll be right back. Alright, so you can see that the beeswax and the carnauba wax are boiling down almost to a liquid. The frankincense still taking its time. That may take quite a bit of time actually, so we'll have to monitor that. I also advise not to leave a burner unattended, so I will be sitting out here with it as long as I need to. I've also seen where you could boil some of that frankincense down in a microwave. So we'll definitely have to work with that one some more. I also have some pine rosin that boils down easier, has a lower melt point, so I can also use that instead. But one thing I forgot to mention is lanolin. You need carrier oils in your wax, or it just gets too stiff and isn't as healthy for your stash. So if I can do this while I'm holding a camera, see that? Now that may be a little much, but we're just kind of experimenting here. I'm not really too worried about proportions at this point. It's more eyeballing it. As I get more into this, I'll definitely want to start measuring these out. Some common measurements might be half beeswax, a quarter lanolin, maybe a quarter coconut oil if you just wanted to go straight wax that way. But as I'm adding other things, then we'll need to figure out what all those percentages are. So right now this this frankincense is starting to get a little harder. You can tell it's starting to kind of crystallize and boil down. In fact, you can start seeing a little, see if I can get that. Starting to see that little glimmer there. Starting to get a little waxy edge on it. So we're going to go ahead and stick him back in there with their friends. And sorry that my camera is not focusing well. That's kind of a bummer. I'll have to figure that one out. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and turn it off now. We'll come back a little bit later and see how these are doing. Alright, so while we're waiting on the frankincense, I went and got a can of, or a bottle of sweet almond oil. This is also considered a carrier oil and good for the skin. So I'm just going to put a little squirt of that in there. Also, what I've done is I put a lid over the frankincense just to see if I can keep the heat in. And because it's starting to get hot, I'm going to actually use a little tool here from my garage. See how that's coming along. Well, you see it's starting to glisten just a little bit. Not near ready, but I can see that it's starting to make some progress. So we're going to let this go for a while. This is not going to be a quick process, I can see. Maybe next time we'll start with the pine rosin. So hang in there, we'll be right back. Alright, so while we're waiting on the frankincense, still going at it, I've decided to use some of this pine rosin that I got. So I've gotten another tin, filled it up, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it on this warmer and see if it melts down and see how that goes. So, and if it's not hot enough to melt the pine resin, then I may need to swap it out with the frankincense for now, just so that we can get something produced tonight. So I'll be right back. Alright, so our frankincense is still going at it. It's glistening, but not even close. So we're going to come back to that another time. The pine rosin has melted down, and you know what's interesting, I don't know if you can see it, but look at that viscosity. I mean, that is much thicker. Isn't that cool? I'm really liking that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pour this into here, and then we're going to mix it up and call that a batch. So hang on, I'll be right back. Okay, so I've poured the contents of the pine rosin into, and with the other mixture of the beeswax, the lanolin, and the sweet almond oil. So, but I tell you, the smells in here are amazing. I love the smell of rosin, and of course we got that frankincense still going here. So it is smelling sweet. What I'm going to do now to wrap this up is, if I can get that focus, there we go, Hyquili leather fragrance oil. So this is an essential oil, and I did a little research on that, so hang on. Okay, so I like my fragrance strong, so I'm going to see if we can do 2 drops here. 1, 2. All right. We're going to go with that, and I'm going to stir it up, and then we're going to let that cool, and I'll give you my report tomorrow. All right, thanks for hanging in there with me. And just as a wrap up here, let's see how this is doing. All right. That's still going to take some time. I'm not sure I got that much time tonight, so we may have to figure out a better way to melt down that frankincense. If anybody has any suggestions, let me know. And as a reminder, the reason why I'm doing this, one, is because I'm just intrigued by the whole process. Let me turn this around. I'm just intrigued by the whole process, but also I'm hoping to create a strong mustache wax for our keepers of the stash. Just something I thought would be cool to do, and I want to call it something like Superman mustache wax. So we'll see how it goes. Follow along on my journey of learning. My brother and keeper from down under, Noel, is joining me in our learning. So we'll just kind of go through it together and have some fun. Take care. God bless.